Okay, all right, we are live. So, welcome to the gathering. Today, we're going to be talking about exiting the chaos, and we're going to dive right in here in just a moment. But it's just something that God's been showing me for the last 2 weeks, really, really strongly, is just how the Matrix keeps us trapped, and you know, it's it just keeps us buzzing, keeps us buzzing all the time. But before we dive in, I'll just share with you really quickly. We've got a few spots left for the retreat that's coming up, and we're going to be really marketing that here soon. We do have the ability, if anybody, if we get we've got some overflow room. But if you want to stay here at the Pearl, we right now only have one spot basically left. But we've got, I think, a total with everybody here, we're going to have about 8 people so far. And I like to try to keep those small, but we will be putting the word out here in the next few weeks, marketing that and getting people settled into different rooms that we have around either the house or the tiny house, and I'm hoping again we get to finish out some of the build out in the barn, so we'll have more space available there, which is going to be really cool. So that's October 16, 17, 18, and 19, and it's on the website. So you go to gilhodgesfreedom.com and go to events, and you'll find the event there. So looking forward to that. And then also the inner circles. The inner circles, just loving it. And if you haven't joined the meditation time, if you enjoy the meditations, we're doing those now separate from the gathering. So when we come here to the gathering, we're jumping right into conversation. But we spend anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour in meditation time, from 10:45 to 11:15. And if you want to be part of that, again, go to the website and look for the meditation section. And there's a Sunday morning meditation. You can sign up there. That one we are doing signups because I'm trying to get it organized so we can keep people appraised of what's going on and give you the link every week. In fact, you get the link, on a Saturday night and then Sunday morning. So it should be pretty easy to hop on there if you're signed up already. So, all right, that is it. Let's go ahead and dive in. Let's jump in. Does anybody else have anything really quick though before I get going too far? And if you're watching on Facebook and YouTube, feel free to jump over on the Zoom. And if you want to do that, again, go to gilhodgesfreedom.com. Just scroll down a little bit. You'll see the gathering there. You click on that gathering and it'll give you some options for you to join us here. But all right, I don't see any hands up, so we're going to go ahead and dive in. So exiting the chaos. One of the things that I'm just recognizing more and more is we are not going to be able as human beings to step into the fullness of our divine identity as long as we're continuing in an atmosphere and a frequency of doing. It's works. It's doing. Doesn't mean that we don't do something, but it's that frequency. And I think most of you know what I'm talking about. I get caught up in it way too often, where I'm just buzzing and going 100 miles an hour to get things done. And I've got this clock in my head that's going, and if I don't meet those deadlines that I've made for myself, then I'm less than, I'm worth that, I'm worth less, and that kind of thing. If I'm not getting those things done, these are the programs that have gone on in my mind in the past. So it's this constant drive and push to do. And that very essence of the drivenness and the striving, the pushing has been programmed into each and every one of us. And what I've just been recognizing more and more is how important it is for us to exit out of the chaos. And believe me, there is more chaos in our lives than we recognize. I know I'm recognizing it more and more, but I'm just also seeing that chaos goes deeper than I ever thought. It's the programming that goes deeper and deeper than I ever thought. It's just extremely challenging to, get out of it sometimes because of that programming. So, I wrote down a few things here. Exiting the chaos, there's some major areas that I identify and I see. And one I would just call drama. And then the other is fear. And fear is what I've written a lot about in my new book coming out, Breaking Your Matrix. Fear is one of the biggest tactics that the Matrix uses to keep you trapped, because, people don't want to step outside of their programming, what they've been told, what they've been taught, for fear of being rejected, or fear of failure, or, just many, many different types of fear that are just going to tear us down, pull us down, and we just don't even move because we're afraid. And then the other thing that chaos and the Matrix wants to do is create division. So you've heard me use the term egregores many times. And these egregores are the spiritual entities that grow out of us giving things our energy. We give life to things. God has made us co-creators in that sense, that we too, when we choose, we give life to things. You give life to thoughts in your head all the time. You give thoughts either to positive things or to negative things. You're the one that's giving those things life, and it's you and you alone that gets to say enough is enough, and that you want to stop going down some of, especially those negative roads. Those negative roads that only lead to stress and more fear and more chaos in your life. You and you alone are the one that, you get to choose what kind of thoughts you want to allow in your head. And, when we're doing the inner circle, we do go through different tactics, different things you can use, pattern breaks and so forth, that can stop that process. Because what you need is that instant between the circumstance and the event that takes place that would normally trigger you just right into a response, a programmed response. And as you become more and more aware, you can use a pattern break to shift it, to stop it, to slow it down, and give you a moment in between to breathe. And that little bitty space in between where you get to breathe is where you get to change things. You get to shift things. And you get to do something different than what you were programmed to do. And it's the most powerful thing that you've got, choice, that you put into action. And so I just made several things I added to the drama list. The drama list, again, the egregores are a big one. And these egregores are going to basically be things, here's some. You're going to have family dynamics. That can be created into an egregore, because you got families that argue over different things. You've got families that believe that different causes, need to be fought for. And all these things generally are dividers. You're going to have a family member on one side and another family member on a different side, and you go at it. These egregores keep you divided, keep the energy flowing, negative and positive. That's kind of like that yin and yang thing. You got them both going, and when you got them both going, and you're focused on a specific thing, it could be, here's a list of them. It could be religious dogma. We've all been there. It could be school spirit, rah, rah, rah. It could be team spirit, a different sports team. It could be a state spirit, my state is better than your state. It could be nationalism, our country is better than other countries. And just specific causes like abortion and animal rights and climate change. They're all egregores that people have jumped on board with. And when you jump on board and you give it your energy, some of these things can literally begin to take on a life of their own. I mean, how many of these egregores now have organizations formed around them? Even unions, which, and it doesn't mean they're all bad, just FYI, but they're going to be bad to somebody. Unions are usually not an employer's favorite friend. But, there's always this tension that's made between the negative and the positive, and it's all energy that's going in. And all of this is part of the matrix, keeping you distracted. And so many of us have been, caught up into this thing of, we know about the difference between the tree of life and the tree of good and evil, the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And that tree of knowledge is something that I feel like in our day and age, what's one of the biggest currencies out there? It's knowledge. Knowledge is one of the biggest currencies out there that has a lot of influence. And so we're caught up in it. This is new to the human race. We have never, ever, ever had the ability to have so much information right at our fingertips, literally. Just through a phone, through a computer, AI, You can get answers to just about anything you want to get an answer to. And we're consumed by it. We're literally now getting consumed by our own information overload. And that's for a lot of people what it is. It's overwhelm and overload. And we have no clue who we are because we're constantly looking for knowledge out there. And I get sent video after video. I get sent to, so many different things every day. And I ignore probably 99.9% of them. I don't even care to look, because what I think is important is for each and every one of us to learn to slow down and to look within. We need to be able to look inside to see what God has for you. What is your path? What's your path of peace? What's your path of rest? What's going to give you joy? Because I can almost guarantee you that even the people that feel like they're getting joy out of some of the information that they're gathering, from all the videos and YouTube, and all that, if you really look inside, it's mainly stress and striving. It may feel good. In fact, it might be an adrenaline rush that people are getting. But it's the matrix keeping you distracted from slowing down and just looking inside. Because I guarantee you, God has a path for you that is sitting right there inside. And you know what? I'm 100% certain that if any one of us were to be left on a desert island, or just an island where we could survive but didn't have all this knowledge at us, I bet we'd be a whole lot better off in finding just peace and joy. Now, if you're here's the thing: if you're so programmed that you got to have that knowledge, then you might go crazy because you don't have it available to you. But if you understand that, no, the greatest knowledge, and there's more knowledge in here than there is out there. So what are we doing? We're getting distracted with what's out there, and we're not looking to see what's in here. So again, that's what we're doing at the retreats. It's what we're doing in the inner circles. It's slowing down and beginning to understand how important it is to look inside. See what God has for you, not what the world has for you. The world is that matrix just keeping you buzzing, keeping you going, keeping you in the chaos, and it wants to keep you trapped there. And until we all begin to make choices to let go of some of that. It doesn't mean we have to let go of all of it. Like I said, I don't throw away everything. I just said 99%. But I will occasionally read something. In fact, I actually read a lot of stuff that people post personally that I have access to. But online, no, I seldom ever go chasing after stuff on Facebook or any place like that. I'm looking to find more peace. I'm looking to find more rest. I'm looking to find that space where I'm no longer caught in the hustle and the bustle, but I'm slowing down, breathing, just finding space for what God has to say. So that is what I have to share this morning to just begin the conversation. So yeah, put your hand up if you got a question or a comment, and let's start the conversation. So Deneen, go ahead. It's good. Right. Yeah. Right. 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 Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. Yep. Darkness. Right. Division. Yeah. 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 So good. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. 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 Wisdom. Yeah. That's good. It's interesting you were mentioning this because I had written down here earlier, it's like when we put our hope or even our real estate, give time to something, give real estate to it in our minds, in our thinking process. When we give it time, we've talked about this in the many years actually, but you're honoring it. And when you're honoring it, you're giving it life. You're in fact, even when we are going the other direction and spending time on it with negative energy, you're giving it life. You're still giving it life. It's when you just disengage, that's when you actually begin to see a difference in things. And yeah, more and more when I'm, go back to using the terminology I still like, just when I'm in my right mind. When I'm in my right mind, I choose to just stop and just disengage from all the crap that's being thrown at me from the world. Got to get this done, got to get this done, this has got to happen. If this doesn't happen, then this is going to happen, then it's going to. It's like, stop. Just, you know what? You know who's in charge? God. And he's the one that is in charge of the outcomes. And there are going to be some outcomes that I have nothing to do with, and they're going to be beautiful. And there's going to be others where he'll show me something to do, and it's just going to be beautiful. Even when it's challenging, it's still a beautiful thing. So anyway, it's just letting go of my expectations. It's back to my expectations, my preferences, my feelings, my beliefs. If I can just let those go, and it doesn't mean that I don't have them, but when things aren't lining up to where I can actually have them, when I can just easily let them go, it's like, it's okay. I'm good. I can just let that go. And then just enter into what God's doing. And that's what I keep, and it's so hard. We don't trust God. We really don't. We want, we want things the way we want them. And if it doesn't come out that way, then we're thinking, well, it's just, I got to get God lined up here. I gotta get him straightened out. Anyway, yeah. Well, thank you, Deneen. I love that. Good stuff. Larry and Debbie, go ahead. Yeah. Yep.